Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Nick Tan Chats, my magic and mostly mentalism review show. My name is Nick Tan, and on today's episode, I'll be chatting with you guys about the Crazyman's Split by Harrius. So hi again guys, welcome back to the channel, and as always, thanks for showing up, thanks for tuning in, and thanks for spending some time with me today. So on today's episode, I won't be doing a mentalism review, okay? Instead, I'll be chatting about a rubber band trick, okay? A rubber band trick released by Harrius. So if you have been doing magic for the past, 7 or 8 years, I'm sure you know the name Harrius, right? Especially if you're into Rubik's Cube magic. So I'm pretty sure you know that all of you out there who are into Rubik's Cube magic, if you really perform Rubik's Cube magic quite, hardcore, then I'm sure you would have at least used or are still using one of Harrius's incredible creations. And then on top of his Rubik's Cube material, Henry in recent times has also started releasing non-Rubik's Cube related material, right? For example, his refilled effect, his vanishing bottle effect, which I recently reviewed as well in a previous episode. There's also Magnet Zero, which I have had a lot of fun with as well casually. So yeah, Harrius releases quality material, so I simply can't see how you can go wrong, unless if you pick this up. In which case you could go wrong because you simply can't see. So let's get down to today's review. So today's review is for the Crazyman's Split, okay, by Harrius. So as the name suggests, all right, it is a trick that is related to the very classic and very famous Crazyman's handcuffs. So the Crazyman's handcuffs, it's a classic of magic, all right, invented by Arthur Satterington, I believe, sometime in the 1970s. It was published back then as well. And then subsequently, the name Crazyman's handcuffs was actually coined by Daryl himself, all right? And then eventually, Michael Amar kind of popularized the effect as well when he published a book called the Crazyman's Handcuffs. So for me, on a personal level, this trick might be the one most important trick in my magic life, all right? It probably is the trick that started it all for me, okay? Because in the mid-1980s, okay, I watched David Copperfield perform this on TV, all right? I believe it was his, Great Wall of China special. While all the illusions that I watched, really, fascinated me, obviously. However, this particular trick, all right, just something so simple with just 2 rubber bands, really captured my imagination. In fact, that was like the only thing I wanted to learn, from David Copperfield. And even back then, David Copperfield really taught me a simple, important lesson, right? That it's not just about the trick, it can be a really simple thing, but it's not just about the trick, right? It is about the kind of the perceived prestige, all right, of the performer who performs the trick as well, that kind of really sells the effect, right? Because to me, David Copperfield performed the trick, so it had to be a good trick. And I remember the day that I learned how to do it, all right? My magic teacher, my first magic teacher back then, Mr. Charles Chu, his name is, he taught me the trick, and I was just so happy that day. As a little kid, I was going around just practicing the trick again and again, and eventually it became a trick that I would perform even, into my adult performing life. My adult performing sounded a bit wrong, but you know what I mean. So the Crazyman's handcuffs typically, has just like, I think 2 phases, 3 at best, right? Because there is always that first kind of, penetration, that first part where the 2 bands melt through each other. So normally a magician, typically what I've seen is, they will do it like maybe twice, as Copperfield did, right? He just, he did it twice. And then there was a phase where you would get a spectator to hold onto the bands, and you would do it with their hands, right? So typically it ends there. So what Henry has done is he has added in like an opening phase, so that you can lead into the Crazyman's handcuffs, okay? So for example, you would have a rubber band, examined, okay? They can check the rubber band, it's a normal band. You can have it split into 2 bands, and then from there, you would go into the whole Crazyman's handcuffs effect, where the bands kind of melt through each other just like that. And then to close the routine, all right, Henry has got a phase as well that he has added in at the end where you mime doing the effect once more, and then to close, you kind of melt the second band back into the first one, like this. All right, so there's a vanish of the second rubber band, and then this can be given away to the spectator as a souvenir. So what do you get when you purchase the Crazyman split? So you'll get a 20-minute video. So on the video itself, you will have a studio performance, and then Henry will take you through exactly how to perform the routine. Along with the teaching, Henry will also tell you exactly how to perform this in a walk-around environment, all right? So that everything, is instant reset, and making it a really practical routine to perform walk-around. At the end, Henry will also share with you an effect called, I think it's an explosion effect, all right, where one rubber band just kind of visually explodes into a whole bunch of rubber bands. So this is an effect that Henry, I understand, has been performing for like a decade, and this is not the first time it's being taught. I think based on my understanding, it has been taught on his lectures as well, right, his live lectures. And this is like pretty much a no-brainer, all right, if you perform rubber band magic, okay, because it's a really practical routine. It doesn't use any gaffs of any kind, so all you need are the rubber bands that you would normally use when you perform the Crazyman's handcuffs, okay. So rubber band magic is just so practical, right? It's really hard to see a magician working without using rubber band magic, unless of course if they were performing with this. Right, in which case then the magician is just hard to see. Also, what I like about this particular thing, this routine, is that it is really simple to do. Okay, it's really simple. However, I will tell you that there is a kind of a knack to getting it to look perfect. All right, obviously when Henry does it, it just looks like it just splits into two, right? It will take some work, all right, to get the bands to behave properly, okay? But it's not difficult. It will take you a couple of runs to get it to be smooth. Now, I think I can say this much, okay? There is a kind of a get ready, okay, when getting into the routine. And the get ready literally just takes seconds. Okay, it just takes like, I don't know, a second maybe, okay? With familiarity, you will be able to do it really, really quickly. The angles on this are surprisingly good, okay? You can probably perform it, all with people all around, okay? So it can be performed completely surrounded. And you can perform the split just like by yourself, in your hands, but I think it makes it even better, all right, when you perform it with a spectator holding onto one end, okay? So you do this and the bands just kind of split apart and you're holding one and the spectator holds one. I think that just looks and feels so much better. So yeah, I think that's all I have to say about the Crazyman split, all right? It's nothing complicated. It is what it is, you watch the trailer, the effect is the effect itself, all right? There's no nothing hidden, all right? What you see is what you get. Henry obviously makes it really simple, but you do have to work at it just a little bit to get it to look as good as him. I will tell you, okay, that in the tutorial video, the Crazyman's handcuffs is not taught. Okay, so Henry just kind of assumes that you already know the routine. But well, if you don't know the routine, there are just many resources to learn the Crazyman's handcuffs, Michael Amar. So if you don't already know the Crazyman's handcuffs, you do have to kind of learn that as well in order to add that, to this, or rather add this to that. Yeah. Alright guys, so if you are interested to pick up a copy of the Crazyman split for yourself, I will leave the link in the description box down below. And at this point, I'd also like to thank Henry Harrius for really kindly letting me have a look at this tutorial so that I can chat about it with you guys on this show. So that's all for today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. As always guys, do take care of yourselves, have fun with your magic and your mentalism, and I will see you on a future episode of Nique Chats.